We went to Mexico. It's 4 hours drive from where the crusade would be to Mexico, and another 4 hours to return. That's 8 hours out of the day. We need that tent to pitch that same evening to have crusade. We cannot afford to have a delay. When we got to Mexico, we couldn't locate the tent. We couldn't find the tent. We wandered around and we wandered about, and finally we got the tent when we were making our way back to the border. There were soldiers at the border, and the border was closed. Nobody can get in nor out. A Belizean has robbed a bank in Mexico, and they have now closed the border. And here we are approaching this border, and when we were approaching, when we were close enough, all the soldiers raised their rifles and aimed it in our direction. Now I've watched enough action movies to know that that means freeze. So I stopped walking. But the pastor I was with pulled me in the shirt and said, "Jermy, keep on walking." So I got behind him. Just in case. When we got there, the conversation was this: you guys are the thieves. You guys are the ones who broke into the bank. We impossibly say yes, because at a distance we saw 4 of you coming. I'm just going to wait on you. There was 3 of us. At a distance they all saw 4 men coming. But as we got closer, the tall one, the one in full white disappeared. And they said, "He has the money. He is the thief." We said, "Look at the cameras. Only 3 of us came." They looked at us and they said, "You guys, you are some witches. Go back to your witch country, Belize. We don't want you over here in Mexico." So God ushered us right over the border. Are you with me? We serve a on-time God. Hear this now. Watch this. We did not see God. We did not see the man in white, but he was there. The enemies saw him, and that was enough for them to open the border for us to cross over onto our land. We serve a on-time God. So here Jacob. Jacob is running. Jacob is frightened. Jacob is desperate. Jacob is going back to Canaan, the promised land. Jacob is now at the border of Canaan. And the scripture says in verse 24 of Genesis 32, "And Jacob was left alone." The best place to be is alone with God. And as Jacob was there and he was sleeping, a rustling ensued, and they began to wrestle, but for the first time Jacob cannot prevail. So he wrestled, and he wrestled because he knew that Esau was coming. Some say that he believed that it was Esau. And as they were wrestling and wrestling, the sun began to rise, and the person he was wrestling with said, "Let me go, for day is breaking." Jacob said no. He then realized that who he is wrestling with is the person who can change his very life. Jacob said, "No, I will not let you go until you bless me." And they wrestled, and the scripture says that the angel touched his thigh. And Jacob had a limp. The proof of your wrestling is in the limp. Let me put it where you can reach it, because you missed that. When we are pompous and prideful, it's evident that we have not wrestled. But when we are broken, when we realize who we really are, the evidence of our wrestling will be seen in our limp. And here Jacob, as I'm getting ready to close, here Jacob asked him, what is your name? But before that, he asked Jacob, what is your name? When that question was asked to Jacob before, Jacob said, my name is Esau. What will Jacob say now? His life is dependent on his answer. Will he come to terms with who he really is? I could imagine the angels in the balcony of heaven looking down and cheering, saying, Jacob, say the truth this time. Because only the truth can set you free. You can pretend to be Esau. You can dress like Esau. For a moment you can walk in Esau's blessing, but the truth is you will always be Jacob. Say the truth. Have your moment with God. You know, I remembered when I was 9 years old and I met God for the first time. I did not really knew who I met. But I was 9 years old. I was standing on the 2-story veranda of my house, an old wooden house, with a rope. I've never shared this testimony. I tied the rope on the beam up top, tied it. Life was so hard. Life was so difficult. My best friend was suicide. The only way out of this is if I die. I need to die because there is no other way. I'm speaking to somebody now. I tied the rope on the beam. I tied the part to go around my neck. I stood on the rail of the veranda. I placed the rope around my neck. And I was getting ready to step off the rail when a man came up on the veranda. And a man said to me, just look up. When I looked up, there was a plane. A plane was traveling somewhere. And the man said, don't be discouraged. I will take you places. I never saw his face. When I turned around, he was not there. My circumstance did not change, but there was a peace within me, a peace that surpassed all understanding. I came off the rail that day and I had a peace knowing that despite how life has begun for me, it's not how it begins, it's how it will end. God is still in control. I don't know what you're struggling with. I don't know what problems you're facing. But I want you to know that God is still in control. I remember as I was growing up, life was extremely difficult. Can I testify? Life was extremely difficult. One of 13 for mommy. One of 20-something for daddy. But he was never there for any of his children. We grew up extremely poor. You see, I'm coming to terms with who I am. Because the same question that was asked to Jacob is being asked today. Who are you? And I remember growing up extremely poor. We go to school without food. We come back home to no food. And there was no light. There was no water. Life was just difficult. Nobody wanted to live that life. I remember my best friend was suicide. And as I gaze over the congregation today, I still see strugglings. I see folk who dress well, but you're struggling deep inside. There is a burning problem. There is a question being asked that you can't even answer. Who are you? And as Jacob was wrestling, he was at the border of his breakthrough. He was at the border of Canaan. I remembered growing up, looking for bottles to sell in the drains, in the trash can. Can I testify? Let me just come a bit closer. I'm closing now. And dropped out of high school. First form, did only 1 month, not really 1 month, 3 weeks in first form. Life was really difficult, choir. All I wanted was a name change. I've pretended to be all type of people, but my reality never changed. Remember looking for food in trash cans on the street? That's your preacher today. Forgive me if I am not seeking to rile you up, but I just want to talk to somebody today. Because the truth is, I can rile you up if you want to, but when you leave from here, you're still the same person. We have gathered here today because God has this divine appointment. You're of your border at Canaan. The question is being asked, who are you? We disguise ourselves like